Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, number 62. So this is where I like to collect together all the new music that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. And I get it from different places like my local record stores. I hit a brand new one called Tunes this past week. Also, of course, there was Record Store Day. And I get other things from, online retail like Amazon, eBay, and more. And for this past week, I have 16 new music finds to go through with you, which breaks down as one new release, 2 from Record Store Day, 2 Japanese imports, 9 used CDs, and 2 vinyl records. But before we dive into all of that, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with New Music Finds, episode number 62. All right, so kicking things off, we always start with brand new releases. And this one here comes from Aldo Nova called 2.0 Reloaded. So this one here is a re-release of the EP of the same name, which had 7 tracks on it. This one's got 9 tracks on it. But what they did is, instead of just expanding that EP, they took 4 songs from the EP and then they added additional songs to it to build up to that 9, so 5 other ones. And they're now coming from 3 studio albums. The first EP only came from the debut. Those 7 tracks came off his debut album from 1982. But this is pulling from that debut album, also from Subject 1983 and Blood on the Bricks 1991. So you're getting a nice, well-rounded, almost like a greatest hits on here, although he skips over the 1985 album Twitch. I wish there was something on here from that, but there isn't. And so this thing here has those 9 tracks. I think it's about 45 minutes, give or take. But it's actually a 3-disc set. Now the second and third disc in here are simply just karaoke versions of those same tracks. One of the discs has the vocals removed and another one has the guitar parts removed. So unfortunately, you're paying about 20 bucks for 3 discs. And in my case, I really only want that first one. But I did check it out before buying it. I liked the new versions enough that I wanted to spend that money to go in and get it. All right, so that was the only new release that I got. There was other ones that are in the mail that I'm waiting on, like Udo Dirkschneider's album called My Way. It just hasn't arrived yet, and a couple others, so you'll see those in future New Music Finds episodes. Now, this past Saturday, April 23rd, was also Record Store Day, and I did head out for that. I wasn't too interested in the vinyl albums that were coming out, but I was specifically interested in a number of CD releases that were coming out. First one being Kirk Hammett, guitarist for Metallica, put out a debut solo EP, features 4 tracks on it. There's the inside, no booklet with it, but a cool little packaging. So this one here, all instrumental, and it's sort of like, as he describes, a soundtrack to movies in your mind. There's enough of what we know and love from Kirk Hammett on here, and style of which to relate this to Metallica, although there is enough that is different from it with a more orchestral element to the songs and things of that nature. There is cello and other orchestral instruments backing him up in this. But there's some good stuff on this, some nice heavy stuff that's in that vein of the slower Metallica era style stuff. So pretty cool. I do recommend it. If you're a fan of Metallica, I do think you're going to enjoy this, and I hope this leads to a full-length studio album. Of course, that's if the band allows them to do it. Surprised even that they allowed them to do this, that whole history of band members not being allowed to do solo and side project things, although apparently it looks like the reins on all of that is loosening up. All right, another one that I was excited to find, picked up the last one too when I got there, is this David Bowie EP called The Toy EP. And it was released also on vinyl, but this one being CD, it is a 6-track CD, and it's got 2 alternate versions, 3 live recordings and 1 radio edit of all songs from the album Toy that was just released as a box set recently, earlier this year, and I believe it came out as part of the Brilliant Disguise. I think that was the name of the box set edition that collects everything up, like that white one you see back there. He's been doing that with his albums and whatnot. Now, there was another one, actually, so I think it was called Brilliant Adventure, not Brilliant Disguise, because of the name of this next EP. So the other one I was looking for was an EP called Brilliant Adventure. I did not find that one, so I will be having to resort to eBay in order to dig that up. Right now I've seen it and it's already going for twice the amount. These were $15 EPs in the store and they are going for a good $30 and they're bidding, so nothing that I can buy now. I think I would pay $30 for it, but I don't really want to pay more than that for it. So I think I'm going to hold off and wait and see what I can find somewhere down the road. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to come across it somewhere. Okay, then I got 2 Japanese imports in the mail. This is part of those Universal Japan reissues that Amazon is importing itself for, between like $14, $15 a piece. So not $30 imports like typical. Magnum Goodnight LA 1990 album. Turned out to be really good. I didn't know what to expect from that. Wasn't too sure. It's produced by Keith Olsen. I really like his work, so I was excited to see he was part of it. He's produced albums for Scorpions, Whitesnake, Foreigner, and just a whole bunch of other great artists. And I'd heard there were co-writers on this, like Russ Ballard and Jim Valence. So all of that intrigued me, but sometimes, of course, that can just go awry when they try too hard to appease American radio. I have to say, this album did it right. It was really good. Unfortunately, it didn't even get a US release. So who knows if it ever would have actually broken the US market or not, but glad to get it now, 32 years later, finally getting a US release this way. All right, and the other one I picked up, Joey Tempest, who's the vocalist for the Swedish band Europe. Really great. This is the second solo album from him called Azalea Avenue. Now, his solo material is nothing like Europe. The stuff is much more modern, a lot of musical different styles on it. If you're open to that sort of thing and you did like what was going on in the 90s with more of the drum loops and samples and things of that nature added into rock artist music, I think you'll enjoy this. For me, it's really good music. It's just not what you would expect from him. But I do like it, and I have been enjoying it. Of course, my tastes are very wide and broad, and if yours are too, you might like this as well. All right, and then as I mentioned, I hit up a brand new record store. This was also for Record Store Day. So it was a place called Tunes, and it's at 225 Washington Street in Hoboken, New Jersey. Now, I'm from New York City. I'm in Manhattan. I don't really venture out to New Jersey all that often, but I had some business out there, and I decided to finish off my day by hitting up the record store, both doing Record Store Day and trying out a new place. So after I was done shopping and picking up those couple new releases for Record Store Day, I stuck around in the store and I found a whole bunch of good used stuff. And now, I said this before in the video, and I have done a Let's Go to the Record Store video for Tunes. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for that, but I have over 11,000 CDs in my collection, so what you're going to see from this is a lot of best ofs and collections or live albums and things, and that's simply because I have so many studio albums of things already by these bands in my collection. There's not a lot left that I don't have from major artists, so I am topping things off with best ofs and collections that have some rarities, like this first one here, Lynyrd Skynyrd's Skynyrd's Innards. And it's not just a straight collection on it. So it actually has 2 outtake versions, Double Trouble and Freebird, on here. So I picked it up to get those versions of tracks. One of the live albums I do like, A Show of Hands from Rush. So I found that a number of live albums from the 80s and the late 70s and stuff like that I do like. That happens to be one of them. This one here was a good find for me. David Johansen, Live It Up. It was actually the last album that I didn't have by him. So New York Dolls frontman, it is a live album, even though it's called Live It Up. I don't think it's Live It Up, but could be. And And it's really good. He does a lot of cool covers and stuff. He was always doing that going on. So there's a number of things that are on here that aren't on studio albums and stuff like that that make his live albums interesting and fun to get for that reason. But again, these are of that era when the crowds were big and the noise was more even in the background and it wasn't distracting. So I can get behind live albums like that. I then picked up this Heart collection simply called Greatest Hits from 1997. Can't believe this is already 25 years old. I had this back in the day. I sold it off in order to buy two different Greatest Hits where the band subdivided their 70s era material and their 80s era material. And now I kind of want this one back, which has a mix of both of those all on one single disc. So some of these things I'm buying back and adding into the collection. These days I don't sell anything off, I just keep it all. But back then when I didn't have as much money, oftentimes I'd put together a stack of 25 albums or something that I wasn't really listening to, take it, trade it into the record store, and walk out with 5 or 6 new things that I didn't have. And sometimes things like a Heart collection, trading one in to get a different one, I would do things like that and stuff. So another one that I picked up, now I had a promo of this one, Bryan Adams Anthology. It is a 2 CD set, and so there's some stuff on here that as an anthology they'll often do some alternate versions and stuff like that, outtakes or things of that nature. I got to dive into it and really read up on each of those tracks, but I remember getting the promo and there being some stuff on it like that, so I have to dig into it. It's one of those booklets that has such tiny little print in it and doesn't immediately call out where the stuff is from for me to know, but I am going to dive into that and enjoy it. So what I was kind of doing here is replacing a promo only copy that had no artwork or anything like that, burn copy CDs that I got for $1 in the record store back when it came out, to this. And I think this was only about $4.99, $5.99, right around there. So really made it worthwhile in that regard. Picked up a new Steve Miller best of here. This one, a 22 track, what they call the complete greatest hits. Lots of these are out there. I still actually like the original collections, and so I have those in my CD collection too. But this one here, I have to say, I've held off on it. I didn't pick it up. I just thought too many tracks and too wide of an era of music and maybe I wouldn't be into it, kind of a thing. But I put it on last night and it just all worked. I mean, it has everything covering his more early blues rock era stuff into that 70s era, into the 80s sound that he did, and even into that early 90s stuff and so forth. So this one here worked out great and I was really happy that I picked it up. Probably going to be listening to that a lot more. Here's another cool one. Jethro Tull. It is a collection from a box set, 5-disc box set, I believe. This one here has stuff from 4 of those albums within it. So it's got archive stuff, rare tracks, what they call essential Tull tracks, flawed gems, and other side of Tull. So a lot of cool rarities and stuff like that. And it's broken down into 4 different types of things like that. So it's a nice little rarities thing. I'd heard about this being available. First time coming across it in years. So it's always just kind of fun when that happens. And I picked that up for pretty inexpensive amount. Now, I also picked up 2 other things that I already own, but I'm just going to show them to you real quick. So I did pick up the Journey Eclipse Jewel Case Edition, and that was to trade off of the cardboard one. But what was kind of cool was that the packaging is a little bit different. The booklets in these are also different. So in the end of the day, this one had more photos in it and things of that nature, whereas the one that was in the Diggy or the cardboard packaging didn't really have that sort of stuff. So while I was just picking it up for the jewel case aspect of it, I actually liked the packaging on it much better too, and that was kind of cool. And then I picked this one up, the Bullet Boys Freak Show album, as a replacement because I already own it here. But what I wanted to show you is, here's the one that I own, and see how it's been bleached out. It's no longer yellow like the bottom one. So the other side, still yellow on it. Don't really know why this bleached out because I don't keep my CDs in a place where sun can hit them. Some of these just over 20 to 30 years, they do that. They just lose the color under regular light from within an apartment or whatever. So I bought a replacement one that is nice and everything. Now, what I found interesting is the booklets in these. This is on a very thin paper, the original one, and this one here is on a very thick, crisp paper. So, they're on the same label, everything looks exactly the same, but why sometimes they're printed one way and it's a little different on different type of paper and so forth, who knows. But I have noticed that in doing some of these replacement ones, and that's always just kind of interesting to me. All right, topping things off, I did pick up 2 vinyl releases. Peter Frampton, The Art of Control, a 1982 album. Haven't checked it out just yet. Did listen to one of the songs off of it called Sleepwalk. That was on YouTube, so I could check that out. I liked it, so I'm looking forward to diving into it. That was only $5, and I also picked up this, Ellen Foley, The Spirit of St. Louis, only $3. One that I didn't have from her, became famous having sung with Meatloaf and the Bat Out of Hell album and stuff like that. So I got a couple of vinyl, got some used stuff, got some Japanese imports, got the new Record Store Day stuff and a brand new release, and I got more in the mail coming. So lots of good stuff to tide me over in the interim. But there you go. That is 16 new music finds for me as part of episode number 62. Hopefully you enjoyed all of that. As I mentioned, a related video, I'm going to leave a link to that Let's Go to the Record Store down in the description. You can check that out for a full visit of me going through and adding some commentary along the way about what I'm finding. And certainly if you've enjoyed this video, consider sharing it out on social media. I would greatly appreciate that also. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.